Hey, what is going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and back here with another Xbox 360 related tutorial, going over something that I've actually dabbled in a little bit here and there over the years on the Xbox 360, but recently I did get some inspiration to actually give this a shot when I was checking through some of these here, and I decided to try them out on a few games that I was playing. In short, I'm going to be showing you all, if you have a hard-modded Xbox 360, meaning a system that has already been RGH'd or JTAG'd, how you can load up cheats and use them in games with Aurora using trainers. Now, this is going to require a few things right off the bat. It's first going to require some way of transferring files to and from your Xbox 360, whether you want to do that over FTP or USB or what have you, because you are going to need to download a few files. You're also, of course, going to need a Xbox 360 that has already been hard modded, meaning that you are able to run Homebrew, and you will have to go through the whole step and process of installing and setting up Aurora and just knowing the basics of how to use a hard modded Xbox 360. I have videos covering how to modify your own system as well as how to set up Aurora on a system that you have just modified, so hopefully those will get you up to speed here. Once you have that and you have some games that you are wanting to apply your cheats on here, and keep in mind these are really for the most part going to be like offline cheats here. It's not going to be any kind of like Call of Duty mod menus or anything, but here for example I'm going to be using cheats on the campaign of Turok, and I'm going to be using that as an example because this is a game that I did want to go back, revisit, and play, but I wanted to make it easier for myself here. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get the files that we're going to need. You're also going to need a USB drive here, preferably to transfer over the files, but there's also going to be one thing in regards to these trainers that are freezing that I'm going to get to probably near the end of this video. So with all that said here, let's go ahead, move over to our computer, and let's bring a USB drive with us. Now when it comes down to all of this here, I've noticed that there's not really one centralized location to specifically get trainers from, and something that you need to know in regards to the 360 and trainers is that there's been different types of trainers throughout the years. The ones that I'm going to be covering here are only going to be for Aurora, and you have to use them on Aurora. Not Freestyle Dash, not Freestyle 3, it has to be through Aurora. The other thing is too, the easiest way of getting these for the most part is really just downloading a big pack of them. Now you can see that sometimes you can grab some individual ones here, and I'm going to have this site Real Mod Scene linked down below in the description, but the easiest way might be to just get a big trainer pack such as this that's been uploaded by Gavin Darkglider, and there's been several people who have worked on these trainers and released them. So this gentleman here has ended up just compiling a whole bunch of them together into a pack that you can download, and that's probably just going to be the easiest way to get this here. So I'll have it linked down below in the description, as I said. But if you want to grab this trainer pack, grab another trainer pack, whatever it is, and go ahead, give it a download. Now there's two of them here, one of them from 2015, another one from 2018. So for example, if you want to grab this pack here, you're just going to have to click it, and once you're at this page or something similar, you just have to download this and save it somewhere you can easily find it. Do keep in mind the trainer or the trainer pack you download is most likely going to be in a archive format, so you can download and install something such as 7-zip that will allow us to extract this for free. So here we go. You should have your trainer pack downloaded, or whichever individual trainers you're wanting here, and for this we can just right click, and I'm going to extract it into its own folder. So go ahead, do that, and it should extract out a whole bunch of files. We have a folder right here, we can open this up, and right here within Aurora trainers, we have this here. Should look a little something like this. And we have all of these title IDs because that is how these are all identified. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there is a location you have to put these trainers into. We can even refer to it right here because this is asked so often. But as you can see on Aurora 0.5b and below, it goes into the trainers folder within the Aurora folder. But in 06b plus, so really the latest version, it will go into an additional user folder. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we are going to rename this accordingly. To make this easier, I would recommend you take the folder that has all the trainers in here and you just rename this to trainers. That's it, something like that. Now we need to take our USB drive and make sure it's compatible with the Xbox 360. So for this, of course, you will just have to make sure it is FAT32 in file system. And if you've ever used a USB drive for the 360, you know how to set this up here. In short, it just has to be FAT32 and compatible. Once it is all formatted there, we can go ahead and copy over our trainers. So let's grab our trainers folder. We're going to copy that out, go into our USB drive, and we're going to paste it right here. It doesn't really matter where we paste it to, just as long as we can access it. And I will say here, if anybody has any other recommendations on trainer packs, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. The reason why I'm putting this here at this time is because when I was looking around, there's a few big trainer packs out there, and it looked like this one just had the most amount of trainers in it. So I was going more for recommendations of, I guess, quantity in regards to this. Thankfully, this isn't too big at about 41 megabytes, but there is several hundred files here, so it'll take a bit to copy over. But once it's all copied over, we can go back out here, right click, eject our USB drive, and then take the USB drive over to our console. Once you're back over at your system, go ahead, plug in your USB drive, and make sure it is detected successfully. Once it is, you can tap the back button while you have Aurora open to bring up the file manager. Now go into file manager itself, go over to your USB drive, go over to your trainers folder, and tap X to select it. Now hit the left button on the D-pad, go down to the copy option, and tap A to copy this out. Now we can navigate over to HDD1, go over to wherever you have installed Aurora. In my case, it's going to be Apps, Aurora, and if you're using the latest version, which you should be, go into the user directory and check it out. We have a trainers folder right here. Once you are at this area, you can tap left on the D-pad and go down to the paste option, say yes to overwrite, and it's now going to transfer over all of our trainers from our USB drive to the internal system storage itself. Just give it a few seconds to do so. Once that's all completed, we can exit out of here completely, and there's one more setting that we have to change here, unfortunately. Now hit the start button once you're at this page, just the Aurora main screen, hit start for settings, go to modules, and you're going to go over to the Nova module. Tap A, and now over here, you need to go to the screen capture combo. Now you might not have noticed that you can take screenshots in game, or maybe you've accidentally loaded it up, but unfortunately from my own testing, I've noticed that this seems to interfere with the plugins working. So the best way I have figured to fix this is just by disabling screenshots or screen capture combo. So just make sure that is disabled, in which you have to uncheck that. And once that's all done, we can hit back, exit out of here, and I would recommend just bring up the guide, tap A, and reload Aurora. Now with all of that transferred over, let's get ready to run some cheats on some games. For this, I'm going to be using Turok, but I do want to say right off the bat here that this is not going to include trainers for every single game out there, simply because they do not exist for every single game out there. For example, I can go over to my copy of Tetris and tap Y, and if I go down to, well, right here, if I just select this option, tap left to bring up trainers, and hit A, there's no trainers to be found. But I do know that Turok does have trainers, so we're going to cover this here. In order to check and see if your game has a trainer available, highlight the game, tap the Y button, and right here, instead of launching, press left on your D-pad to bring up the trainer option, then tap A. It'll bring up this trainers option here, and if you have any trainers available, congratulations, you are in a good spot. Now, in order to check this, you can tap the Y button while highlighting a trainer, and it should show how many cheats are available, how many are configurable, and how many title updates they are compatible with. As you can see, this one's pretty good. It gives us 4 cheats, 4 of them are configurable, which is good, and this works on title updates 0, 1, and 2, meaning that you can run it without any updates, or you can run it with updates 1 or 2 enabled. Keep in mind that some trainers will require certain title updates and might not work on other title updates. So in order to resolve the title update issue, I'm going to show you all what you can do. Now, if I just install this from disk or just run it from disk without any updates, it will work, because it's compatible with 0. However, let's say we need a specific title update enabled. You can go down here to the title update section, tap A, And as you can see, I have version 2 installed. If you don't have any installed, you can tap over to the Unity Marketplace and you can download whatever title updates might be available. Again, not all title updates are here and not for all games, but thankfully they had a version 2 title update available for Turok. So I downloaded it, and since it installed, once it installs, you can go here and just tap it to enable or disable it. I do want it enabled, so I'm going to tap A to enable this, so I'll be able to play Turok with title update version 2. Now we can go back completely, go back up to the trainer, and in order to launch it with the trainer, you tap the A button, and as long as it is compatible here, you highlight the trainer, tap the A button yet again. It's now going to boot the game, apply any title updates, and it's going to apply the trainer as well. Now give it a few seconds here to load up, and here we should get a message, there we go, saying Turok trainer. This trainer was made by AXR. It is a retro byte release, and we also have the activation buttons, which are start and back. So tap OK on this. And there we go. We also have the trainer engine pop-up come up here, and it was created by Paracrypt. Well, at least the XYZ engine was. Now for this, I'm going to hit the start button. I'm going to load up my USB drive since that's where I have my saves, and I'm going to continue my save that I've started. I'm still pretty early into the game just because I'm starting it from the beginning here, but let's go ahead and get in game. And there we go. So now that we're in game, as you can see, everything seems to be working so far, but in order to bring up that trainer, you can hold down the back button on your controller and tap start. And it should bring up a menu like this. Now at this point, as you can see, it's going to look a little something like this, where it gives us different options that we have to enter in. So for example, if you want to enable God mode, you would tap 1, and then you would go over to done and accept it. And there we go, God cheat has been activated, which gives us God mode. And if you want to disable that, you can do the exact same thing. Press start and back to bring this up, go over, hit 1, go to done, wait a few seconds, and God cheat has been deactivated. However, we're going to enable a few others. In fact, since there's not many, let's just go ahead and enable all of them. So I'm going to bring this up yet again, and if we want to enable this here, I'm going to do 555 to enable these all. So that means it will give us God mode, instant kill, no reload, and infinite ammo or arrows. So that should be pretty obvious when we see this all. I'm going to hit done, wait a few seconds, all cheats have been activated. So now check this out. Let's go ahead and just start shooting. Now I am shooting at this rock. I'm shooting into subspace here, and as you can see, it is not asking me to reload. I can reload if I want to. I can tap the X button to reload, but if you see, my ammo counter is just straight at 99. It is not going down, which means I have no reload enabled and I have infinite ammo enabled. So that is all looking good. If we come over here, we can go ahead and get into a firefight. I know that's going to start right off the bat. Here we go. And as you can see, instant kill on that. And even if they're shooting at me, I also have God mode enabled. So that seems to be working successfully. That is great. Everything seems to be working exactly how we need it to. So that is how you can get your trainer working in this regard. Hopefully this does help out. However, even though I would like to continue playing Turok, there's one more thing in regard to trainers I want to show you all, which is not too fun. In fact, let's go ahead and just turn off the system completely, like I'm going to go away for a bit and come back. Alright, so let's say we finished gaming for now. We turned off our system. A few hours later, we came back on and we came over to Turok, hit details, went over to the trainer, and launched the game with the trainer just like before. And hopefully you're enjoying this as well too. Now, what if you run into an issue where your game just ends up freezing? Now, unfortunately, this has been an issue for a while, but it seems to randomly impact people, which is why I'm kind of putting this at the end here, just in case you're in this camp. I'm one of those people. I've actually tried this on 2 different systems. One of them, it was freezing consistently for me. The other one, it seems to be fine, so your mileage may vary here. However, I'm going to show you how you can bypass this. It's a little bit annoying, admittedly, but I've noticed that this has been an issue for several years now, spanning a few versions of Aurora when I was looking this all up. So it is a little bit annoying to bypass this, but we need to boot up our system, but not let Aurora boot up with it, which is why I'm going to show you how to bypass the default plugins, but we're going to need a USB drive for that. So grab a USB drive, turn off your system, and go over to your computer. Over at your computer, make sure your USB drive is plugged in, and if you're using Windows, you can go over to View, Show, and make sure file name extensions has been enabled. Now we're going to right click, create a new text document and call this launch.ini. Just like that, and it should bring up this message here asking about changing the file name extension. Say yes. And we're not going to add anything to that. We just want a blank launch.ini file so we can bypass the -launch plugins. What we're going to do is we're going to make it so that we just boot into the standard 360 dashboard, and then we're going to boot up Aurora through XEX menu. And that seems to resolve the freezing issue for trainers. Really, you only need to do this if you're running into this issue. But thankfully, and hopefully, not everyone's going to get impacted by this, and I'm hoping that you won't be impacted on your own system. But once you have this file created, we can go back here, right click, eject our USB drive. Now what you want to do in this specific order is while your system is turned off, plug in the USB drive and then turn on the system with the USB drive already plugged in. Now as you can see, our system is booting up like normal. We have the boot animation brought up here. However, it's not going to launch Aurora, which don't be scared, this is going to be expected here. It brings us the standard 360 dashboard, which is exactly what we need. So we're now going to boot up Aurora through XEX menu. And in order to do that, you will need the GOD version or Games on Demand version of XEX menu installed. If you'd followed my Aurora and like new JTAG RGH setup video, I show you all how to do this, but you should be able to go to Games, go all the way over to X and look for XEX menu and give it a launch. Once this ends up launching, tap the RB button on your controller to take you to USB 0, then tap right on the D-pad to go to HDD1. Now we can launch Aurora by going to Apps, Aurora, and launch the aurora.xex. And as you can see, Aurora is launching now. So now at this point, since we've bypassed that, what we can do is go over to Turok, hit the Y button for details, tap the left button on the D-pad to bring up the trainer, and then load up the trainer here, and let's give it a few seconds. As you can see, Turok is loaded up, and if we wait a little longer, it is not frozen, and our whole trainer is able to operate. So we are all good at that point. Again, this isn't going to impact every single person out there, but if you notice the first time you use a trainer, it works, and then every single time after that, your game ends up freezing when trying to load that trainer, you are going to have to go through a process like this. So that's why what I recommend doing personally is keep a USB drive on hand with that blank launch.ini file and keep it nearby. And whenever you know you want to play a game with a trainer, just boot up your system with that USB drive plugged in, boot up Aurora in that odd way, and you should be able to get the trainer working. As you can see, this all works here successfully, so I can bring that up, and it looks like, yeah, all cheats have been activated. We are all good to go. So thankfully, everything is working now. Hopefully this does work out because, again, like I said, I ran into some issues with the screenshot plugin where I just had to disable it, and I also ran into the freezing issue. Hopefully your experience is a bit smoother than mine, but if you ran into these issues, I hope that this does really help out. As a final thing here, before we wrap this up, I'm going to show you one last way you can activate certain cheats you want before you even get in-game. One last thing you could look out for in regards to the trainer here is, let's say you want to bring this up again, go to Details, go to Trainers, and instead of tapping A, tap the Y button here for details, and then hit A to configure this. And right here, you can actually configure God mode, instant kill. You can enable and disable these options here before you even get in game. So that will save you a few steps if you just want to boot up the game with God mode already enabled. You don't have to go through the extra step of bringing up the trainer in game. So that works out. Finally, one last thing to keep note of as well too with this, in regards to the bypass for booting up without any plugins loaded, you don't have to do that every single time. Don't worry. If you just want to use your RGH normally, like if you're running into that freezing issue, you only really need that USB drive plugged in when you are using a trainer and you're trying to bypass it freezing if you're running into the freezing issue. But if you don't want to run into that every single time, don't worry. You can unplug your USB drive right now and you can just restart your system and play things normally. Anyways, that is about it for launching cheats and having some fun here and getting a little bit more mileage out of your game library on your JTAG or RGH system using the trainer system and Aurora. Hopefully this helped out. This was a little bit longer than I expected here, but like I said, I wanted to show you all where to get the trainers, how to set them up, how to use them, but also how to resolve a few issues along the way. Anyways, that is about it for this video here. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated, and if you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too. This is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.